The calendar turns to conference play. We have an ACC clash in beautiful Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's the number 8 UNC Tar Heels hosting the Virginia Cavaliers live from Boshamer Stadium on ACC Network Extra. Welcome into the booth, everybody. Alongside Wayne McDonald, I'm Andrew Chapman. Wayne, this is the start of conference play. It's like a second opening day, right? And this specific series has been a classic in recent seasons.
Oh, without question. This is when the season really begins. Conference play, two good ball clubs off the hot starts, but this is where the path to Omaha begins. Right here, right now.
A couple of top scoring lineups in the country featured this weekend in Chapel Hill for the Tar Heels. They've been led by the Stony Brook transfer Eric Paulson.
When you think of Eric Paulson, you think of elite defense at first base and batting average. But now, ever since he arrived on campus in Chapel Hill, it's about power, it's about strength, and it's about a different level of conditioning.
Meanwhile, Chris Pollard switching from Duke to Virginia first year at the head of the Cavaliers. He brought some of his Duke sluggers over with him, and they've created a top lineup in the conference.
And they brought the power, and it all starts with A.J. Gracia, a ball player that's going to be a top pick in this summer's MLB draft. He's been the primary power and offensive catalyst for this Cavalier ball club.
Now, not all new faces for Virginia. They have some key returners in their starting nine as we take a look at the Cavaliers lineup. And right in the heart of things is Harrison Didewick. He's a returner, a staple Cavalier, and really a vocal leader for them.
In the sea of 7 transfers from Duke, you need that consistency, and Harrison Didewick is that consistent ball player to get that Virginia Cavalier culture incorporated with the new ball players.
And taking on Chris Pollard's group is the Carolina right-hander Jason DeCaro. The 19-year-old, what do we need to know about him going into this one?
He's a very special pitcher. 4-pitch mix, ice water in his veins. Remember, he is only 19. He's going to turn 20 in a month, and the big thing, just elite stuff.
So here we go. It is a gorgeous evening in Chapel Hill to kick off a weekend series. Game time temperatures at 84 degrees and sunny at Boshamer Stadium. First pitch of conference play is lofted foul and down the left field line. Officially underway this afternoon at 4:02 p.m. DeCaro on the hill for his 4th start of the season. Last pitched against Lemoyne in the weekend set. Tar Heels put up record run production in that one. 5 innings, 2 earned for DeCaro against Lemoyne, and he delivers a strike to Eric Becker, the Cavalier leadoff hitter, and he's in a quick 0-2 hole.
And that's exactly where you need to get Becker, because he's another real strong offensive talent for Virginia.
But a breaking ball slips loose and plunks Becker in an 0-2 count. So that at bat gets away from DeCaro to start the night. It'll bring A.J. Gracia up to the plate. Cavalier top slugger with his 6 home runs already this season.
And the big thing with Gracia is consistency. He brought that consistency over from Duke, and then what makes it even more special is the power is even better.
And he got some of that preseason recognition for the National Golden Spikes Award as DeCaro fires his first pitch to Gracia in for strike 1. These Cavaliers are off a midweek split against UNC Charlotte. Surprising result on Tuesday night when they fell 14-0 in a shocker. Bounce back with a 8-1 victory on Wednesday. Split the midweek and come into this one 11-2 in pre-conference play. Here's the pitch. And Gracia dumps it straight back. Coach Pollard not pleased with Tuesday night's result for the Cavs, but liked their bounce back on Wednesday.
He had some choice words about the experience of watching that ball game in the midweek, but resiliency was the big thing he preached in terms of how his ball club bounced back the following evening.
Breaking ball from DeCaro misses just outside. Tough take, and it's 1-2. Carolina at 12-1-1, the rare tie in the record. That was against the ECU Pirates in the Sunday series finale that was called prematurely due to weather.
And that will stick with a lot of the Tar Heel fans because that ECU series is huge. Second weekend of the series, of the season, and you got those two teams going at each other. You always want to have a definitive winner, and this year we have a 1-1-1.
Gracia back to level at 2-2 with Becker at first after the hit by pitch. And they'll pick that way. Ball gets through Paulson, but he quickly chases it down and will keep Becker over at first.
Already what you're seeing out of DeCaro is the fastball's hovering between 94 and 95, which is pretty impressive. Usually he's probably starting off in 92, 93, but really coming in fast with it. And their breaking pitches are upper 70s, low 80s.
Another check on Becker. Tar Heels showing the shift against Gracia, loading up that right side. They've pulled Schaffner over to the second base side of the bag, returning to the defense today after being absent against Elon Wednesday with a minor injury. Here's the 2-2, and Gracia flares it. Shallow center, and that'll dunk down. A soft single for A.J. Gracia. It's not all power, apparently, with this guy.
But he did such a great job of going with that pitch, and also knew that the defense was shifted on the right side of the infield, so anything that he was going to flare to that part of the field was going to be able to drop in.
So first two Cavs aboard against DeCaro. And here's Joe Tiroli, three-hitter and Virginia's second baseman. He rips a line drive fairly deep to left. Carter French has a beat on it and puts it away for the game's first out.
Now, the one thing we've seen this season with North Carolina in terms of their earned run average and their pitching, traffic does get on the base paths, but they prevent runs from scoring. And also the pitching staff has done a really good job of inducing ground balls. So this is going to be interesting to see how DeCaro works out of this jam.
Here's a key ground ball spot if he can get one. Turn two, potentially get out of the inning. And it's the lefty Sam Harris. Swings late on the off speed. And it's 0-1. 4 lefties in the top 5 for Chris Pollard. You have Sam Harris at the plate. Harrison Didowick, another left-handed bat in the on-deck circle.
And as you can see, DeCaro is lined up on the third base side of the rubber.
Way out in front of the plate. Nothing Winslow can do to stop it. And Becker advances with Gracia trailing down to second base. And that wild pitch will neutralize the force.
Yeah, it looked like it just slipped out of DeCaro's hands. Very uncharacteristic of him. Looked like he just held on a little too long and wound up just spiking the ball.
Yeah, Wayne, that looked like more of a grip issue than anything.
Yeah, it almost looked like he was trying to go for a change-up grip and then changed midway through and just couldn't get the handle on it.
A 1-1 to Harris. Swings late again on the off speed.
Good pitch, good location, good comeback for DeCaro.
Harris, the junior, at .333 this point of the season. Just 9 total at bats after missing some time early in the year. 1-2. Chris Pollard saying earlier in the week, previewing this series, wants to make those Carolina pitchers work deep counts, try not to allow them to lengthen into the game, get into the 5th or 6th inning. On a 2-2, this is high and outside.
And the one thing that you have to look at from North Carolina's perspective, yes, you want length. You probably want DeCaro to be reaching 80, 90 pitches, probably getting you into the 6th to 7th inning in an ideal world. But North Carolina has a rock-solid bullpen that can even complement an off day if DeCaro has one.
And a breaking ball slips loose, ball 4. That's a couple of batters in this inning for DeCaro ahead in the count that he's gone on to lose. Hit Becker with a pitch, 0-2. And lost a 2-strike count against Harris to load the bases for Harrison Didowick.
It seems as if DeCaro is still trying to get his feel for his pitches. It's not happening immediately. It might take an inning for that to happen, but a lot of traffic on the bases for Virginia right now.
So Didowick, the lefty, attacks the first pitch and flies it into the left center field gap. It is shagged down by French and deep enough to bring Eric Becker home for the game's first run. 1-0 Virginia. It's a good piece of situational hitting for Didowick. And that was key for Virginia, trying to scratch across a run early, get DeCaro out of his rhythm, and now force it all bases with 2 outs. I think DeCaro, if he can get out of this inning clean, just the 1 run allowed, he'll take it.
And that's usually been what we've seen in DeCaro the past couple of years. It's just that 1 inning where he might just be slightly off from what he normally puts together, and then he settles down. Sometimes that's happened in the 3rd or 4th inning. You know, if you're in North Carolina, you're hoping he gets out of his system in the 1st inning. If he gets out with this, not a bad situation if you're North Carolina.
The 1-0 to Noah Murray, tugged outside, and DeCaro falls behind 2-0. He didn't have control issues last weekend against Lemoyne. It was the first of his starts this year where he did not issue a walk, struck out 5, gave up 3 in his season opener against Indiana. And catches the inner third of the plate, get it to 2-1.
Yeah, you want DeCaro to get a good feel for his breaking pitches to complement the plus fastball that he has today. And I think that's where there's been the disconnect, is that the breaking pitches aren't really there just yet for him.
2-1 to Murray. He looks at a center cut fastball back to 2-2. Just about every seat on the right side of Boshamer Stadium filled with Tar Heel fans, and they're getting loud here in the top of the 1st. A 2-2 with 2 outs and 2 on. The pitch is popped up for Owen Hull out in center field. Circles under and makes the catch to end the inning. So DeCaro limits the damage to the 1 run. Time for the Tar Heels to stand in when we come back to Chapel Hill. Series with the Cavs and the Tar Heels. Gavin Gallagher is in the heart of that Tar Heel lineup. Jake Schaffner returns at the top as well, Wayne. But you know, for Gallagher, he's on that preseason watch list, same as Gracia, and he has some draft status going into this season.
Gavin Gallagher has been a ball player that has vastly matured and improved with each game that he's played in his career at North Carolina. And I'm a big believer the time that he played at 3rd base over the past couple of seasons is going to benefit him richly as a second baseman. But most importantly, his offense has been stellar. When he gets hot, he's arguably one of the top 5 hitters in all of college baseball. And we've seen that with his performances in the NCAA tournament in recent years, and also the past 2 seasons in Chapel Hill.
Friday night starter for Virginia is the lefty sophomore out of Clarksville, Maryland, Henry Zatkowski. What do the Tar Heels have to be ready for against this southpaw?
Elite strikeout ability to begin with. You got a 3-pitch mix. And the one thing I'm going to look at, a left-handed pitcher with a difficult arm angle to pick up. So that's going to be a challenge for the North Carolina hitters. And then here's the other important thing. He pitches backwards. So expect to see a lot of the breaking pitches to change up early on, and then see that fastball later on when he's ahead in the account.
Yeah, a little bit of that sidearm arm slot for the left-handers in Scott Forbes' starting 9. So lefty-lefty matchup, something to key in on here. And it starts with a lefty and Jake Schaffner back at the top of the lineup after being absent against Elon in the midweek battle. First pitch home, sweeps outside, and it's 1-0.
Well, that's what the left-handed batters in North Carolina, their first time around, they're going to have to really pick up that arm slot to see exactly how quickly they can pick it up.
Schaffner the other way, knocked down by Murray, playing shallow, and his toss across retires Schaffner, 1 gone. He only had 1 infielder on that side of the diamond, and Schaffner hit it right to him.
You know, that lefty-lefty matchup, it's always perplexing, and you would think that, you know, going to the right side of the infield would make sense, but and in that case, Schaffner had other plans.
So here's Gallagher, Tar Heels second baseman and junior, now to a .250 start on the season. The OPS just north of 800. First pitch to him. nearly takes him out. And the captain has to step aside. It's 1-0.
The one thing you have to look at with Gavin Gallagher, don't look at batting average. Don't look at OPS yet. Let's wait till the end of the season. Judge him by the quality of his at-bats. Is he going deep? Is he putting some good foul balls? Is he making solid contact? That's what's important with Gallagher now. So I don't even look at those numbers heading into conference play with him.
Yeah, Scott Forbes said the numbers that they're really tracking early in the year are things like exit velocities, barrel percentage, swing decisions. As Gallagher gives this one a ride deep out into left. Didowick at the track, at the wall, and makes the catch. Boshimer barely hangs on to it. And Gavin Gallagher shaking his head back to the dugout.
Just gets underneath it and just couldn't put it over the wall in left field. And Didowick made a really nice play for Robin Gallagher, because that was almost out. Might have hit an inch or two.
Maybe scraped the top of the wall there.
Just maybe, but he put a jolt into it.
Well, Didowick in tight quarters, patrolling left field, makes a high-level play. And with 2 gone, here's Eric Paulson, a lefty-lefty matchup. We featured Paulson at the top with his 5 home runs and team-leading 19 driven in. Stony Brook transfer fouls it off.
No, Andrew, when last season Stony Brook came here to Chapel Hill, I had the honor of being in the broadcast booth for that series, and I was joking with Coach Forbes yesterday saying, I saw Eric Paulson, and I thought if he ever went into the transfer portal, North Carolina would be the perfect place for him. And once again, it's another seamless transition for another great transfer ball player in the case of Eric Paulson.
And on a 2-1, nearly hits him. 3 balls and a strike. And they really love Paulson's defense. That was one of the big keys in trying to bring him over to Chapel Hill, and the power this year has come along with it. On a 3-1, Paulson takes outside, ball 4. Working the edges against the Tar Heels' top bat entering this series, and will give a chance for the former Duke ball player Macon Winslow to stand in.
Well, Macon changed his address from Durham to Chapel Hill, and I think the Chapel Hill faithful are very pleased with that decision, given what he has been able to do for the Tar Heel pitchers behind home plate this season.
First pitch to the Tar Heel cleanup man is fouled over our heads. And it's 0-1. So reunion for Macon Winslow this week with a number of his former Duke teammates who were in the opposing dugout. Went to the Virginia program with his former manager Chris Pollard after a record-setting career at Duke. And on an 0-1. He drives this one out into straightaway center for Gracia. It's a quick bottom of the first for Zatkowski. And Virginia carries a 1-0 lead into the second when we come back. One of the biggest offseason headlines in conference was the transfer of Chris Pollard from Duke, where he set a program record with his 420 wins over to Virginia. First season at the head of the Cavaliers, he brought over 7 Duke transfers with him. There were other coaching changes in the conference as well, but the in-conference swap, that was a big one that grabbed tons of headlines. And some of the jokes in this offseason have been the Virginia Blue Devils or the Duke Cavaliers, if you will, because there's identities of that Duke team on this Virginia squad. But Coach Pollard definitely brought some of his most trusted guys over with him and has filled out a strong lineup in year 1.
And the big thing that you have to look at, Andrew, as you say, Coach Pollard had changed the culture at Duke. They became a winning program. They became, instead of being synonymous with basketball, they became synonymous with baseball, which was a major accomplishment. And, going over to Virginia to fill the shoes of Brian O'Connor, who was the all-time winningest coach in Virginia history, is a big deal. But in my opinion, Pollard's the right guy for the job.
Zach Jackson takes low. and is out in front of DeCaro 3-1. Jason DeCaro plunking the first batter of the day, Eric Becker. He came around to score on a Harrison Didowick sac fly to get us to 1-0. And on a 3-1 pitch, flips the outside corner. It's full 3-2. Yeah, a couple of ACC conference titles under Coach Pollard at Duke. And he said, unlike some of his previous programs that he's worked at, App State, Duke, which were rebuilds when he arrived, he's not calling Virginia a rebuild in any way. He said, we're continuing a winning tradition at this university as Jackson goes down swinging, and there's one gone for DeCaro.
That's exactly what Jason DeCaro needed. He needed get a quick strikeout, a quick out to reestablish his own rhythm rather than reacting to the Cavalier offense. So that's exactly what he needed to do against Zach Johnson.
Brings up the 8-hitter and the catcher, Noah Juris. Juris in his graduate season. Looks at a fastball strike, and it's 0-1. Makes his way to Virginia by way of Davidson. And staying patient, falls behind 0-2. Back-to-back fastballs for DeCaro. Infield, which was shifting heavily in the first inning. Now straight up, his fly is golfed the opposite way for Nunez. He shades towards the line and makes the catch. 2 quick outs for DeCaro in the second.
Yeah, you want a quick 3 up, 3 down if you're North Carolina to allow DeCaro to feel good about himself and to really get a better grip on his secondary pitches, because the fastball looks like it's working. Good velocity, good placement. Now we're looking at those secondary and tertiary pitches to see if he can get a good feel on them.
Here's Antonio Parada, the designated hitter at the bottom of the lineup. And he swings and misses at 94. It's 0-1. A lot of transfers, majority of them from Duke, but Parada is one of the 12 returners for the Cavaliers this season. And solid numbers early on with his 10 driven in. Sharp ground ball the opposite way, backhanded in the hole by Schaffner, and a throw will sail all the way towards the camera well. It's an infield single for Parada, and an impressive effort by Schaffner to even get that throw off.
What I liked on that play, did you see the fake out by Paulson at first base?
Yeah.
That's what I really liked. Schaffner goes deep into the hole, great range, but you know, he's throwing it to the football stadium. And then you look at Paulson doing the great fake there.
Well, Schaffner fortunate that that ball just stayed in play, caromed off the sidewall, keeps Parada at first. With 2 outs for the top of the order, here's Eric Becker again. Nicholson plays shallow at third, and Becker watches strike 1 on off speed.
But this goes back to what we saw with Schaffner on that previous play. The whole thought of he's got range. And sometimes when you have a lot of range, you're not going to get to everything. But in that case, it just shows how much range he can cover at short.
Pitch down and in, and a nice stop by Winslow to keep Parada honest. Eric Becker, like A.J. Gracia, carries some high draft prospect status into this season. Gracia, the number 15 overall draft prospect on MLB.com. Becker just behind him at number 21 overall.
Yeah, you're dealing with some really immensely talented offensive players. And then when you really look at Becker, I think the highest compliment that has been paid to him from Coach Pollard in their brief time together, a stabilizing offensive force. High praise for Eric Becker.
DeCaro patient, throws the 2-1. And jams Becker to get it 2-2.
And the other big thing that we heard from Coach Pollard in our conversation with him, he firmly believes that Becker can stick at shortstop when he makes the transition to professional ball. And that's not always the case. Usually you're turned into a second baseman, maybe a a center fielder, but he believes he can stay.
2-2, just foul before the bag. And we'll keep it where it is on Becker, the third-year ball player for Virginia. Been with the Cavaliers throughout his collegiate career, now in his junior season. Has home runs this season in their matchup against George Washington and also the VCU series. Heavy shift now at Tar Heel infield. He hits against the shift and beats the diving Nicholson with a base hit to left. Parada up to second, and Becker stretches the inning with a 2-out single.
Yeah, and looking at the beat the shift, and he gets it right to the shaft on his other side. He can't come up cleanly with it. Just great contact by Becker.
Third hit, all singles for Virginia on the early going. Sets up a 2-out spot with 2 on for A.J. Gracia. Singled on a soft flare to center field his first time up. Takes the fastball, ball 1.
And what Virginia is doing is they're really driving up DeCaro's pitch count very early in the ball game. And you got the 2 quick outs, and you thought that DeCaro was cruising, and now he's got some traffic on his hands.
Well placed breaking ball gets it to 1-1. Gracia, second team All ACC last year with the Duke Blue Devils, and on pace to potentially improve that to first team if he keeps it up with his 6 home runs already this year. Check up on second where Parada dives back in.
You know, D1 baseball, which we all know and love for a variety of reasons, they had him as the number 7 overall outfield college prospect going into this year's draft. And I think that number is probably going to increase a little bit.
Down in the dirt, and it kicks away from Winslow. Parada down to third. Becker stays put at first. And now they'll be at the corners. Second wild pitch uncorked by DeCaro.
Yeah, DeCaro is having a really tough time today getting a good feel for his breaking pitches. Fastball's there, but just not really has that good grip yet.
And Gracia takes up and away. Another curve slips, and it's 3-1. 2 quick outs started this inning. A strikeout to Jackson, fly to right from Juris. Now back-to-back 2-out singles and a 3-1 count on Gracia. Joe Ciroli in the on-deck circle if this inning goes further. It will. Ball 4. Gracia stays patient, reaches for a second time, and they're all loaded for the second time in this ball game.
Yeah, you keep on seeing DeCaro go to his mouth and the rosin bag. I think he's trying to get a feel for his off-speed pitches. It's not there for him just yet, and it might be just something as simple as getting that good grip.
So here's the junior infielder, Joe Ciroli. And he pops it up behind home, out of play. Chris Pollard grabbing Ciroli from Rider University. And at the start of this series, 0 for 1 with a sharp line out to left his first time up. Out of the stretch, DeCaro's 0-1. Fastball got him swinging late. And really key here for DeCaro to start ahead 0-2.
And the fastball's working. It just seems as if Virginia can't get around on it yet. But you know, he's got to work on those other pitches as well to really mix it up.
The 0-2 sails to the backstop. And the runners will stay put. That ball carrying back to Winslow pretty quickly. And Parada, the leading runner, didn't want to risk it.
DeCaro's asking for a new ball after the umpire gave him one. Still think he's having a little bit of a problem getting something of a grip on that baseball. Are they too slick, or is it the moisture? You don't know, but clearly that's been an issue for DeCaro in the early going to this ball game.
Well, the Cavs stranded 2 in the first. Bases loaded here in the second. The 1-2 is popped up on the infield. In the sunlight as Nicholson charges forward, calls for it, and makes the catch. Threat neutralized. DeCaro, with 2 laborious innings, departs with a 1-0 deficit. Pull in the ACC. We've officially entered conference play, so let the chips fall where they may, Wayne. But the Virginia Cavs, they were at 7 in the conference, didn't receive any first place votes. North Carolina there at number 2, Georgia Tech and their top prospect Drew Burress at the top of the polling. Virginia was a preseason top 25 team in the nation as well on the D1 baseball polling. A loss to Stetson, and Charlotte have them just outside of that top 25 now, but still can get right back in the group with a potential series win this week.
Yeah, if you look at all the different polls, some of they're ranked, some they're not. You know, which one do you really put the most weight into? It's probably the D1 baseball poll is probably that you do, but still a high quality team, but 2 losses like that might keep you out of the top 25.
Henry Zadkowski is back out there, the lefty who made quick work of the top 4 in the Tar Heel lineup first inning. Now he faces Owen Hull in a lefty on left matchup. It's 1-1. And takes a breaking ball low and outside.
Yeah, the left-handed hitters against Zadkowski, they're going to have to judge as quickly as they can the arm slot and the path of the ball, because it looks as if it's just veering off for a lefty hitter.
Hull with a sharp ground ball fielded behind first base by Harris, and he'll take it there himself, 1 away. Owen Hull, I know, like to see the average climb a little bit more, but he's been putting together solid swings. They like his exit velo numbers at this stage of the year, and even some of his outs, like that ground ball there, was well struck.
Well, I think where we are in baseball today, and particularly in North Carolina, they have access to a tremendous amount of technology and analytics, and they look at things well beyond the traditional statistics, and they can project when a guy's going to kind of break out of it.
Colin Heineck is the DH for UNC, Georgia native, ahead 1-0, and as you saw there, first pitch breaking ball, Zadkowski pitching backwards, something you profiled right at the top, Wayne.
Well, that's good. That was the key to his success when he began the season, and he was very clear last weekend talking about how important that was to him.
The ball is driven well out into left. Didowick playing deep, makes the grab shy of the track, and once again, Zadkowski starts an inning with 2 quick ones. That'll be Cooper Nicholson. And this is one of the luxuries of Scott Forbes' lineup, right? To have the power of a Cooper Nicholson at your 7 spot.
Well, and the funny thing is, going into the season, everyone's talking, will North Carolina be hit enough in order to complement their pitching? And right now, early precincts say yes. And when you can have a Cooper Nicholson that low in the lineup and produce the way he is, not a bad name to write into a lineup every day.
1-0 gets him swinging. The first ACC series in the career for Cooper Nicholson. First Division I season as well after the transfer from Iowa Central Community College. Watches a changeup hit its mark. It's 1-2. 41 home runs at the JUCO level before arriving to Chapel Hill.
And you look at that left side of the infield for North Carolina between Schaffner and Nicholson, and they played North Dakota State University and Iowa Central Community College, and coming into conference play at Chapel Hill, big opportunity.
And down he goes swinging. Breaking ball gets him, and it's a 1-2-3 frame for Zadkowski. On to the third, 1-0, Cavs on top. He's a part of a returning group of Tar Heels on the Hill, 11 in total from the 2025 roster that had one of the best combined ERAs in all of Division I baseball. Jake Knapp is no longer part of the weekend rotation, Wayne, but they still have some big arms in DeCaro tonight, Ryan Lynch, the projected starter tomorrow, and then Boaz for Game 3.
And when you look at it, why are they having so much success this year? Well, they're getting a lot of ground balls.
As the first pitch of the inning is lasered out into the right center field gap and will drop for extra bases to the base of the wall for Sam Harris, and he's in with a stand-up double to start the third.
I'll stand corrected on those ground balls. But prior to that double, you know, they were hovering around 50.7% on the ground ball percentage, and their home run percentage was lower. Now this is just great contact by Harris, going out, getting out of that pitch and pulling it into right center field. Great way to start the inning for the Cavaliers.
You could almost tell just on the release of that pitch that DeCaro knew he left a changeup fat in the middle of the zone. Here's Didowick into the left side, and he attacks the first one, fouls it back. 0-1.
And it goes back to what we talked about in the opening. Regardless of what's been happening so far with Jason DeCaro, he doesn't have his A stuff yet, okay? But he still has that ice water in his veins. He's a tough competitor, and nothing is really phasing him. He just keeps on grinding and keeps on forcing what he can.
Well, he's left 5 men on in the first 2 innings. He's worked around bases loaded spots in both frames, gave up a sac fly in the first, the game's only run. Then with bases loaded in the second, got Joe Tiroli to pop out and strand all 3. 1-1 to Didowick. Slips wide.
And that's why you can have a 2.35 team ERA. It's like, okay, traffic is getting on. That's been the story of the season. Traffic's getting on bases, but the pitching staff in North Carolina has been able to minimize the run production that's been occurring from the opponents.
The 2-1. Fades outside, went with the change of speed, and Didowick can wait for the perfect pitch. 3-1 count with Harris in scoring position to start the inning. Didowick got the fastball he wanted and fouls it away, fills it up. 3-2. DeCaro had a dominant night on the road at East Carolina. That's a standout start to this point. 8 shutout frames, struck out 7 in that appearance before the 5 innings against Lemoyne last time out. Here's the payoff. Outside for ball 4. Good eye by Didowick to reach base. Follows up his first inning sac fly with a walk, and the first 2 Cavaliers are on for Noah Murray.
And it goes back to, it was good velocity on the fastball, just missed in terms of the location. And now once again, Virginia's got traffic on the bases and putting a little more undue stress on DeCaro.
Murray squaring to bunt. Pulls back, takes the strike anyways. We'll see how that changes up the positioning of Cooper Nicholson now at third. He'll play it a little more shallow. DeCaro had 55 pitches in these 2+ frames. Is 0-1. In the air, shallow to right. Long run in for Nunez, and it'll drop short. Comes up firing to the plate to keep Harris at third. But once again, for a 3rd straight inning, Virginia has loaded up the bases.
And they're just doing everything that they possibly can, what's been presented to them. They're not trying to do too much, as evident by that just single by Murray. It's just doing what they can, and now we're going to see a little action start in the Tar Heels bullpen.
Brian Gaines, pitching coach for this UNC staff, will head out there, have a word with DeCaro. You know, some of the soft contact is falling today against DeCaro, and that'll hurt your confidence a little bit. The flared single by Gracia, that soft base hit by Murray the other way. Do you think that's part of the messaging right now from Gaines?
I think it's that, and I think it's plays to your strength. And the strength today has been the fastball. And it kind of goes back to what Coach Forbes told us yesterday, and the whole thought process of, go challenge the hitters with what your best is. And probably saying that's your pitch right now because the breaking pitches aren't working to your favor. But we got to figure out how we get out of this situation yet again.
And already in this third inning, some bullpen activity for UNC. Chmielewski, the left-hander, warming. Here's Zach Jackson, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And first pitch out in front of the plate. Winslow keeps it close enough and holds the runners.
Yeah, there has to come a point in time where DeCaro's got to realize that the breaking stuff's not working, the off-speed stuff's not working for him, and the best bet is probably have to continue to work with that fastball. But then that comes down to a placement issue.
1-0, good curve snapped off. Jackson out in front of it. This ball game very similar for DeCaro to that of Lemoyne, where he gave up the 9 hits, but only the 2 runs, worked around base runners well. But misses wide with a fastball, falls behind 2-1.
And that's where his recipe for success has been. That, bend don't break in a lot of cases. And right now he's really bending.
Zach Jackson, one of the Duke transfers for Chris Pollard. Swings early on the changeup. That pitch working for DeCaro in this AB.
He's got it now. He's got that pitch in this at-bat. Let's see how he can finish it off against Jackson here.
Now 60 tosses on the afternoon. A 2-2 against Jackson with bases full. Out in front, and Winslow continuing to work hard with the chest protector behind the plate for his starter.
Well, what we've seen so far this season is North Carolina's got a great play at their catching position. Whether it be Winslow or Hynek, you're getting that. And, it's a big transition from Luke Stevenson from last year. But what we're seeing early on is quality defense by both catchers.
Payoff gets him swinging. A big out for DeCaro.
Well, DeCaro finally has the comfort with the off-speed pitches, and then perfect placement on the outer portion of the plate. Well done by DeCaro.
All 3 strikes in that at bat came by way of the changeup. See if he goes to it some more against Noah Juris. Cavaliers looking for a big swing out of the bottom third of their order. Their 8th spot and catcher. 0 for 1 with a fly to right. Swings and misses at a slider snapped outside.
So he's got the changeup and slider working now, which only bodes well for North Carolina. And same situation. If he can work at this jam and find the rhythm on those 2 pitches, no damage here.
On the ground to third. Knocked down by Nicholson, but no play. Couldn't find the baseball immediately. Harris hustles down the third base line to score. 2-0, and the bases remain loaded.
Yeah, tough play there by Nicholson at third base. He keeps it, he gets in front, but then he loses where it is, and that split second of a loss just cost the run.
So Didowick to third, Murray down to second, and Juris picks up the RBI to make it 2-0 for Antonio Parada. 1 for 1 with a single. And flares the first one foul. DeCaro gets ahead. So consecutive starts now for DeCaro with multiple earned runs allowed after not allowing anything against Indiana or East Carolina. This is just a bit into Parada. It's 1-1.
You have to wonder if this is going to be DeCaro's last at bat if he cannot get him out, given the activity of ramping up in the bullpen.
There's the changeup by the swing of Parada. That pitch looks really sharp here in the last couple of at-bats. Most of the contact today has gone for singles. The double, though, for Harris leading off the inning.
And it doesn't help matters for the hitters right now that the shadows are starting to creep in.
Nubbed out in front of the plate. Tough play for Winslow. He'll go to first. Get the out there, but another run comes home to score. Harrison Didowick crosses. And it's 3-0 Virginia.
You know, we're not seeing the ball be hit with that triple-digit exit velocity today off of DeCaro. It's a lot of these bleeders and flares, but they're finding the real estate that they probably didn't in his first couple of starts on the season. But then also, too, now you're in conference play. This is a really high-quality ball club, and they're going to capitalize on these minor errors.
Back to the top of the order, Eric Becker bats for a third straight inning and yanks a liner foul down the right side. Sigh of relief there for DeCaro. Now for scoring purposes too, by the way, Wayne, Noah Juris there with the E5 on that bouncer to Nicholson. Scored an error on the knockdown by Nicholson. Soft flare up the middle. It'll dunk down. One run is home. Murray. Juris trails in. And more soft contact for Virginia turns it to a 5-0 lead. Where there have been 3 swings like that today, Wayne. Soft stuff to the shallow outfield. They've all dropped for singles.
And it's just finding it. And here's another look at it. You know, just low and away. Just puts enough of it on and just chops right in between the center fielder.
So A.J. Gracia stands in, the 8th Cavalier to bat in this third frame. 5 runs on 6 Virginia hits. 5 singles and a double. Double starting this inning from Sam Harris. Gracia falling behind 0-1. He's reached in both of his trips today, a single and a walk, and has Becker off of first. North of 70 pitches now for DeCaro. And an 0-1 is launched deep out into right. Nunez to the dirt with room in front of the wall to make the play and end the long inning. Cavaliers score 4. The 2-run single by Becker turns it to a 5-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the third. 5-0 hole. A look at the roster construction across the Power 4 conferences. Transfer portal, the name of the game now, right? It's the lifeblood of college baseball. And in the ACC, 50% of the rosters make up of returnees. Freshmen 26%. Transfer portal heavily utilized by Scott Forbes and Chris Pollard, making up 24% of the rosters. Those percentages a little bit higher across the Big 12 and the SEC. But Coach Forbes, who's on the phone a lot in the offseason, so is Chris Pollard. And a look at how it all turned out in the end. Virginia at number 10 in D1 baseball's top transfer classes. Number 7 in North Carolina, the number 9 team in the country.
And, you know, Coach Forbes will be the first person to tell you that, you know, they're keeping heat maps and keeping tabs on certain ball players. And over the past few years, particularly with Coach Pollard and Coach Forbes, they clearly have a philosophy and approach when it comes to the transfer portal.
First pitch fouled back. Second pitch, pardon me, the 1-0 to Jaden Nunez in his first at bat of the day. Zatkowski loving the run support early on tonight. Spotted a 5-run lead after a 1-2-3 bottom of the second. It's the 8-9-1 this inning as a ground ball nicks off of Zatkowski's glove, is backed up by Becker, and he puts away Nunez on the 1-6-3 put out. They'll bring Carter French up in the 9-hole. You know, what I thought was interesting in some of our conversations with Scott Forbes regarding the transfer portal and where he finds his recruits is that as the schedule goes on, they're not only taking notes on their guys, their at-bats, their pitchers, but they're also taking notes on opponents and players that they may run into in the portal the following year.
Well, I think the perfect example of that is Eric Paulson.
Exactly.
You know, last season, that series was not a good series for Stony Brook, but you left that series thinking that a guy like Eric Paulson would probably wind up in the ACC given his talent. And as we mentioned earlier, both coaches clearly have a philosophy and approach to the type of ball players that they acquire in the transfer portal. And Eric Paulson's kind of cut from central casting when it comes to Coach Forbes' type of ball player.
And he praised his whole staff for really leaving no stone unturned, was his phrasing when it comes to his guys and the scouting reports they put together, but also keeping tabs on those opposing players. His French grounds right side. It's underhanded by Harris to Zadkowski. 2 up, 2 down in the third, and 6 in a row set down for the Virginia lefty after his first inning walk to Eric Paulson.
It seems as if it's standard operating procedure for Zadkowski today, and he's established exactly what he did last week against VCU, is, you know, using that fastball backwards in the account and looking at the off-speed stuff a little bit forward. But he hasn't really had any stress innings yet or any stressful situations.
First one outside to Jake Schaffner. Schaffner's second trip to the plate today. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out to third. And you look at the very impressive numbers to start his season. .457 average. Takes right at the bottom of the zone to get it to 1-1. Told he was really fighting to play on Wednesday, wanted to get in that starting 9. They opted to take it easy and make sure he was 100% ready to go on Friday. But Scott Forbes saying that Schaffner's always going to be in his ear about getting the start if available.
Sometimes it's very hard to tell a ball player who really wants to play, do you want to win the battle or win the war? And a guy like Schaffner is someone that North Carolina needs healthy and playing every day. So if you're going to sit out a midweek game or two during the season to make sure you're healthy for June, that's what's important.
2-2 slider runs well wide and fills up the count on Schaffner. Zadkowski, the Maryland native, hails from Clarksville, River Hill High School. One of those Duke transfers for Chris Pollard over to the Hoos. 3-2 on the ground, right side once more. Tiroli in the shallow outfield completes the play and ends another 1-2-3 inning. We're through 3 in Chapel Hill. All UVA today. It's 5-0. Stadium, beautiful weather in the high 70s, clear skies. College baseball has reached conference play. Jason DeCaro and his day has come to a close. 3 innings, 6 hits. Just a couple earned due to the defensive error in that third inning. 3 walks and 2 strikeouts round out shortest start of the season so far for the junior.
Yeah, 72 pitches over 3 innings is not classic Jason DeCaro. Could not find a rhythm with his breaking pitches and off-speed pitches. Early in the ball game, fastball looked good, but it was a lot of the bleeders, the soft contact that was finding real estate that wreaked havoc for DeCaro today.
So taking over for DeCaro is the right-hander Cameron Padgett. A senior out of Salisbury, North Carolina, will be asked to eat up some of the middle innings.
And this is another guy that comes out of the bullpen, big arm, has some plus velocity. Another trusted arm for Coach Forbes, and hopefully he can give them a couple of innings today.
Yeah, a guy who can work at length. He had 4 spot starts last year for the Heels, and this season has worked as long as 3 innings. In fact, that was his last time out against North Carolina A&T. First pitch fouled away by Joe Tiroli, the only Cavalier not to bat in that 8-man third.
Now, this is probably one of the last scenarios that Coach Forbes and his staff wanted to review today. But luckily, you have a guy like Padgett who can give you length and be a great bridge to the rest of that bullpen.
Here's the 1-1. Stayed off a fastball, called a strike, 93, and gets ahead of ball in 2 strikes. Tiroli has put the ball in play twice. Line out to left and a pop out to Nicholson at third. Here's the 1-2. Strikes him out swinging. High fastball at 94. Starts the afternoon strong for Padgett.
Well, that's the one thing we've seen so far, even with DeCaro against the Cavalier offense, is the upper fastball around 94, 95. They've had a tough time getting around to it. So if Padgett can come in for a couple of innings and have that plus fastball up in the zone, it's going to be very beneficial for North Carolina.
First pitch misses in to Sam Harris, who doubled out to right center. Start the 4-run 3rd inning rally. He's also reached on a walk and an efficient start to his series from the cleanup spot. 3 men right side of the infield, and he takes away. It's 2 balls and no strikes. I think regardless of starter situation today, Wayne, they wanted to get Padgett into this game because he hasn't pitched since February 24th, that A&T game. It's been a long stretch for him without being on the mound.
And the big thing with that, too, is it's going to be length. And, you know, I think as the season progresses and they get deeper into conference play, I see Padgett being a guy you bring in for the matchups or 1 inning. But today, you know, he's answering the call that they're probably going to need to get 2 or 3 innings out of him. And that might be a good thing. Stretch him out a little bit and quiet down the Cavalier offense and see what he can do.
Here's the 2-1 on the outer corner, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Padgett's given up just the 1 earned run this season. It came in that midweek matchup against Longwood, who gave the Tar Heels a good fight. 5-3 was the final in that one. But 3 shutout last time out against A&T. Fastball just a little high. Full count, 3-2. Your plate umpire today, by the way, Travis Carlson. Tim Rosso mans first, Thomas O'Neill at second, and Trevor Hinson is at third. The payoff. Bounced opposite of the shift. Nicholson can't get there, and it rolls into left for a 1-out single. It's the second time today Virginia's hit against a heavy shift. Yeah,
it's been the story of Virginia's day. It's just they've been able to find and going against the shift. You know, same thing. Not trying to do too much with the pitch, and it just found the real estate on the left side of the infield.
So in stands Harrison Didewick. 3rd trip for the left-handed hitting left fielder. Sac fly, a walk, and a run scored today. Swing and a foul back. You know, another quick note on the umpiring crew today, Wayne. Notice this pregame. 4 umpires. Their first names all start with the letter T. We have Travis, Tim, Thomas, and Trevor making the calls today. It's the first time I've seen that.
Nice little rhythm.
Possible chance to turn 2. Middle infield pinching with a man at first and 1 gone. Padgett fires and misses off the plate away. Now, Chris Pollard said that Harrison Didewick was sort of his liaison in the locker room when he first got to Virginia, because he wanted that veteran voice who could relay to him how guys were receiving his coaching, how they liked his style, what they could implement from O'Connell's program. As that pickoff gets away and caroms off of the sidewall. Sam Harris gets to his feet, loses the helmet, and hustles to second. So an E1 on Padgett will put another Cavalier in scoring position.
Yeah, it just seems like everything is a little off in North Carolina today in all facets of the game. And we've seen a couple of balls at first base that Paulson usually would be a vacuum on. Couldn't come up with, and the errors are starting to wreak havoc for them.
The 1-1. Bounced up the middle. Gallagher charges and makes the play at first. Productive ground ball by Diduik to the right side. Gets Harris down to third. And with 2 outs, it'll be Noah Murray to try and add to this 5-0 lead.
And as we've seen all day, Andrew, is that the ball is not being, there's no exit velocities here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of these, perfectly placed balls, soft contact, but they're manufacturing runs, and that's the name of the game.
Murray with a liner down the left field line, and that'll bring him home. Harris scores. Murray barrels that one, and it's 6-0 Virginia. It was really just the second barreled ball today by Virginia. You had the Sam Harris double, and now the Noah Murray single to add on.
Yeah, that was just a well-placed, well-hit ball. Great swing to get to it, great approach, and that's probably a triple-digit exit velocity there. And it's probably one of the few of the day so far.
2-hit day for Noah Murray. The pair of singles, and the inning stretches for Zach Jackson. First pitch strike from Padgett. So the Tar Heel bullpen unable to slow down the Virginia production. Now with 6 runs on 8 total hits, Tar Heels will still be looking for their first knock of the day in the home fourth. The 0-1 is rocketed deep out into right. Nunez gets back, and it's gone. 2-run home run for Zach Jackson. And Virginia breaks it open. It's 8-0.
Well, how do you respond after 2 strikeouts on the day? You hit one into deep right center field. Look at this swing. Great contact, great extension. Jackson sends it deep into right center field for a 2-run homer.
What a breakout start to conference play for Chris Pollard's Cavaliers. Noah Juris now stands in. All 3 of these runs scoring with 2 outs in the inning. As the pitch is popped up. Should end the inning as Paulson drifts forward and makes the play. But the onslaught continues. Padgett surrenders his first home run of the year, and Virginia is rolling into the home fourth with an 8-0 lead. Yard with a 2-run home run to cap a 3-run Virginia fourth, and what is now an 8-0 lead for the Cavaliers. Tarfield fans here in Chapel Hill a little stunned with the start of this one. Meanwhile, Henry Zatkowski on the hill has the lead grow each time he steps to the mound. He's got to love that. Look at some of his out distribution today. His innings have been efficient. He's been inducing contact, not really doing it himself, using the defense behind him.
Yeah, he's just putting the ball around the plate. The Tar Heel batters are jumping early. They're not having the quality at bats that they normally are accustomed to having. And Zatkowski's taking full advantage of it.
Gallagher steps out of the way of an inside fastball to start the fourth. So for 1 with a fly out to left. He barely missed a home run in the first inning. And he flares that one off to the right, gets it to 1-1. Gallagher has seen plenty of this left-hander before. Zatkowski at Duke last year went 5-2 over 21 appearances, 11 starts for Chris Pollard as Gallagher sends it deep out into center field, but playable for Gracia. And it's a long out number 1 to start the fourth.
Yeah, right now, if you're North Carolina, you know, you're trying not to lift the ball. You want to go back to the whole thought process, again, traffic on bases. You know, one big swing is not going to change the whole dynamic here. It's just start chipping away because there's plenty of ball game left for them to do something.
Eric Paulson takes the pitch down and outside, and it's 1-0. This is now the largest deficit that the Tar Heels have faced this season. They lost the midweek ball game to ECU 10-3. 7-run loss. And now they are in a deep hole, still with a lot of baseball to play, though. That's the only good thing, as Paulson grounds it up the middle. It's played by Becker on the second base side of the bag. And the stretch continues for Zatkowski. He has retired 9 Tar Heels in a row since he walked Paulson back in the first inning.
Yeah, he has found his rhythm. He is just humming right now. And in so many instances, it's like it's seamless. You know, he hasn't had an inning where he's thrown 15 pitches yet. That's really impressive.
His pitch is soaring down the left field line into foul territory. Drifting that way, the shortstop Becker, and he runs into that sidewall for strike 1 on Macon Winslow.
That's a very difficult area for visiting ball players when they come to Chapel Hill, because you have the brick wall that's protruding out on a little bit of an angle, and you got the sun in your eyes. So that was a really tough chance for any of the Cavalier defenders on that.
These are the interesting at-bats in this series. Winslow, a Duke catcher a year ago who was behind the plate, dropping the signs for Zatkowski, and now stands in the right-handed batter's box against his former teammate.
You gotta wonder what Zach is going to do to Zatkowski's head right now, because he knows Winslow knows everything, because he's called it all. So you gotta wonder who has the real advantage here.
Winslow attacks the 0-2 and stays alive. Yeah, he's going to have an idea of, you know, what the shape of his pitches look like. He's going to have seen that release point before, know the tendencies and when Zatkowski likes to go to certain pitches and counts. As another 0-2 is fought away.
You know, the one thing you can always tell the quality of a good catcher when they know the quirks and eccentricities of a pitcher. And then when they become opponents, you know, you kind of have to wonder that it's got to be in the pitcher's head that this batter knows everything that I can do.
And he drills his former teammate in the middle of the back. Winslow takes the bruise, and the Tar Heels have their first base runner since the first inning.
That's a 91-mile-per-hour fastball right on the side of the number there, and that's going to leave a mark tomorrow morning.
And maybe a text message after the game between the former teammates. Come on, man, aren't we buddies?
I didn't deserve that. I'm wearing a different kind of blue these days.
So here's Owen Hull, and he looks at a curve dip down and outside. Next pitch will be number 50 on the night for Zatkowski. Owen Hull bounced out sharply behind the first base bag on a 3 unassisted in the second. Shortstop Becker up the middle. And Hull goes the opposite way over the leap of Murray and down the left field line. Tar Heels have their first hit of this ball game. A 2-out single from Owen Hull, and it'll stretch the fourth.
And that's what they have to do. That's the brand of baseball that's going to get them back in this ball game. Going with the pitch, not trying to do too much with it, and then finding the real estate yet again right over the leaping third baseman Murray's head.
Sets the stage for Colin Hynek in the DH role today. 0 for 1 with a flyout to left. And the first pitch shorts the plate, kicks left of Juris, and both runners are moving on. Winslow leads the way to third, and Hull trails into second. First real pitch down in the dirt from Zatkowski today, testing his catcher.
And also now we have a stressful situation for Zatkowski, and to see how he can respond, because he hasn't had that yet today.
Over the outside corner, slider backdoors Heineck, and it's 1-1. First time that UNC has put multiple runners on today against Zatkowski. And the 1-1 tipped foul by Juris. He was out in front of the changeup.
You could see it and you can feel it from up here. He was just out on that. That's a 74-mile-per-hour changeup that just dropped on him.
Yeah, that was slow-mo on Heineck. Caught out on that front leg. A two-strike pitch. Just misses away. Tried to backdoor once again. I mean, it's floating up to the plate right now. Another 74-mile-per-hour breaker.
Hey, you saw Joris was trying to present it to the home plate umpire in a manner where he might get a bite on it, but wasn't budging.
2-2 is knocked down on a dive by Murray, and he won't have a play. Winslow comes home, and UNC finally breaks through. That ball was smoked by Heineck, and Murray saved an additional run with his effort at third.
Yeah, that ball had a lot of English on it that was going to clear the infield, and if Murray doesn't do that, that's 2 runs coming across. But what we're seeing now is Zatkowski is under a little duress, and North Carolina is responding.
Credit Colin Heineck with the infield single. RBI for Colin as well as Cooper Nicholson digs in. '18th RBI on the season for Heineck. That's one behind the team leader Eric Paulson. And the first pitch dropping low on Nicholson. Zatkowski riding the high of a quality start his last time out, 6 innings of 1 hit ball against VCU. And then he gets it back to level at 1-1. If UNC can rattle the starter here with one more big swing, this is a good guy to have up in this spot. Needs some power. And he bounces into the shift, mishandled by Becker. He goes the short way to second and gets Heineck sliding in. Heads up play by Becker after the brief bobble. Knew he couldn't get to first and ends the inning on a toss to second base. But the Tar Heels will settle with 1. They're finally on the board thanks to a Colin Heineck single.
Yeah, and comes up clean on it, but punches him out.
Next weekend, March 12th through 15th, some big matchups across the ACC, SEC as well. You have a top 10 battle there in the nation between Mississippi State and Arkansas. In conference, Georgia Tech, top 5 team in the country, takes on Clemson, and the Seminoles will be here in North Carolina against Wake Forest. Virginia has a tough road ahead as well. The Cavaliers, after seeing number 8 North Carolina this weekend in Chapel Hill, will take on Virginia Tech, and then 2 more ranked matchups in following weekends against Wake Forest and Florida State.
Well, you're going to know where you stand at the end of the month in terms of that gauntlet. You know, you have North Carolina, you have your rivalry, in-state rivalry with Tech. Wake Forest is a rock-solid ball club. So going into that Boston College series, you're going to have a real good feel in terms of how you look.
And a new arm on the hill for UNC as well. They'll shift to a lefty. It's Kyle Percival, the senior southpaw out of Lancaster, South Carolina. Andrew Jackson High School with his clean ERA over 5 innings of relief work this season. Toes the mound for a 3rd time and takes over for Cameron Padgett, who surrendered those season-high 3 runs in the 4th. Left on left battle to start the inning, and a sharp ground ball hit foul.
If you're in North Carolina, what you're hoping that you get at Percival right now is just challenge hitters. You know, just go after them. You like that approach in the first pitch, 90 miles per hour in a third of the plate. on a left-handed batter. Let's just keep that going.
Inning starts at the bottom of the order, and Antonio Parada, designated hitter. And he swings through a well-shaped breaking ball. 78-mile-per-hour curve for Percival, and he gets ahead 0-2. Eric Becker on deck, and then A.J. Gracia, those dangerous Virginia hitters. In on the fists, and Parada stays alive.
If you're in North Carolina, you're hoping to get out of Percival what you were hoping to get out of Padgett. Because it's...
Winslow has to trace down the third strike, comes up firing to first, and in time to Paulson to complete the play. Winslow didn't have a lot of time to waste, and he was accurate with the throw.
It also shows, too, what Coach Forbes had talked about. Look at his release. And look how, you know, Heineck might have the stronger arm, but Winslow's got the better release. And both catches still get the ball there as quickly as you possibly can. That was just a great example by Winslow.
Another left on left with Becker. Here's a slicing line drive into the left center field gap and down for a hit. French scuffles with it, comes up firing, and Becker cruises into second with a double in his third hit of the game.
Yeah, after getting that hit by pitch in the first inning, 2 singles, now a double, just really humming today. But you're also showing how elite of a ball player Eric Becker is and why he's going to be a top draft selection come this summer.
Have him ranked just behind this guy, A.J. Gracia. A potent 1-2. And he spits on a first pitch curve, 1-0. The final line for Cameron Padgett, by the way, 1 inning, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, and a strikeout. Those 3 earned runs, a season high for Padgett. 1-0 is wild, and all the way to the backstop for Winslow. Becker with an easy pass down to third.
Now, if you're Virginia, you're looking at that midweek loss to UNC Charlotte right now, and you're saying, where did that come from?
Yeah.
But it might have been exactly what they needed to wake them up going into conference play, because this is an entirely different ball club than what we saw on Tuesday evening.
Gracia fouls it straight back. Yeah, and you suffer a midweek loss like that, and it's guys like Gracia that you have to trust to bounce back the following day, right? And in our pregame conversations with Chris Pollard, in his long head coaching career, he called Gracia, what was it, the most consistent player that he's ever coached?
You had a head coach in Pollard say, in his 28 years of being a head coach, the most consistent ball player he's ever coached. In his 33 years of being a college coach in general, the most consistent. That's high praise coming from a guy like Pollard, given the talent that he had, particularly at Duke.
Now, so many different teams that he's been the skipper of, but he gave Gracia the golden crown in terms of consistency. 2-2 is up high and through the glove of Winslow. That'll score Becker from third, and Virginia gets the run right back. 9-1 on the second wild pitch of the at-bat.
You know, the one pitch that gave Virginia a lot of trouble in that UNC Charlotte series, particularly on Tuesday evening, was the slider. And the slider landing and from a left-handed pitcher in the strike zone. They couldn't handle that. And then the question that Coach Pollard put to his ball club in that case, how do you respond? Clearly, Chase Oxborough was clicking for UNC Charlotte on Tuesday evening. And as we've seen so far, Virginia's responded very well.
The 3-2 is driven well out into right. Nunez shy of the track, traces it down and retires Gracia on his second deep fly to right today. So he's testing the dimensions of Boshamer Stadium. Heads back to the dugout, 1 for 3. So Percival bounces back with a big out, and the bases are clear for Joe Tiroli.
You know, our conversations with Coach Pollard, the one thing he stressed with Tiroli, he feels very comfortable now because in the middle of the infield between him and Becker, there's a little bit of stability and there's that rhythm.
Another wild one gets through Winslow. And Tiroli was a staple at the Ryder program last year. He was one of 3 players on that team to start all 52 games. Enters the portal, joins Virginia, and made an instant impression on his new team. He had 3 doubles in his first 5 games of the season. On a 2-0, he takes up and outside.
And I think a lot of people fail to realize even that this was all these transfer portal players coming in, new coach, you had the fall. But a lot of these teams, particularly in North Carolina and Virginia, had a couple of weeks setback because of the weather.
Right.
And, you know, Coach Forbes made a note of that. And, you know, every time that you can get on the field, it matters, particularly when you're beginning your season in early February. So that did, you know, set them back a little bit, both ball clubs.
3-1 is seared inside of the left field line, and that looked like a fair ball, ruled foul.
Yeah, from our vantage point, it looked like it went over the base.
Here's another angle.
Still tough to see on that one.
Trevor Hinson working third base, one of the 4 T's right on top of it. And spoiled foul. Tiroli stays alive in a 3-2 count. Prepped in the state of Pennsylvania, Pennsbury High School, where he was ranked as the number 15 overall third baseman in the state before he went to Ryder. 3-2 on the corner and gets him looking. Percival off the hill. He surrenders a run on the wild pitch. Back to an 8-run ball game. Halfway home. Eight-run lead. Bulk of their run scoring in the 3rd inning, Wayne, where Virginia didn't need hard contact. They scored 4 times on a leadoff double and then a couple of bloops the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's just like once in a while every squirrel will find a nut, and that's what's been happening with the baseball in the field today for Virginia. You know, we've only can count on probably one hand how many times they've actually hit the ball hard, but still 9 runs is 9 runs regardless of how you get to it.
Yeah, Virginia +8 in the hit column today. 7 singles, a pair of doubles, and a 2-run home run from Zach Jackson. Meanwhile, the Tar Heels didn't get their first hit against Zatkowski until the last frame in the 4th inning. Finally got a single out of Owen Hull. Another 2-out knock from Colin Heineck put UNC on the scoreboard, but they faced their largest deficit of the season at the midway point. 8-run deficit, and the home 5th starts with a swing and miss from Jaden Nunez.
And you throw into the mix that Zatkowski's probably going to push it to about 80 pitches, and he's been very efficient, so you probably could see a couple of extra innings out of him.
Nunez loops it down the right field line for a souvenir. Falls behind 0-2. There really have not been a lot of 2-0, 3-0 counts for Zatkowski today.
No, and as we mentioned earlier, he hasn't had an inning where he's thrown more than 15 pitches. I mean, you talk about pitch efficiency. He's around the plate. He's throwing strikes. They're putting the ball in play with weak contact.
Nunez takes upstairs, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Nunez and the guy on deck, Carter French, making up corner outfield spots today, which are still the 2 positions really in flux defensively for UNC. Nunez goes down waving, and there's 1 gone in the 5th. But Scott Forbes is impressed with what Carter French has been able to do. Likes him in the lineup to start this series, and Nunez still trying to lock down sort of that every game spot in right.
If you've been watching Tar Heel baseball for the past few years, Carter French has been a good contact, great defender in the outfield. But the big thing that Coach Forbes has been impressed with is the increase in his exit velocity. And they're seeing a little more pop out of Carter French, which is a real positive because he's always been known for a good glove, solid glove, and a contact guy. But now they're seeing the potential for a little more pop to him.
French fouls away the 0-1. Super smart kid off the field as well. He's taken pre-med classes to become a doctor after his playing days.
So when you're majoring in biology at the University of North Carolina and carrying the load that you do as a student athlete here, that is downright impressive.
Takes a breaking ball outside, a ball and 2 strikes on French. I was not taking pre-med classes in college, I'll tell you that much.
I stayed on the other side of the campus from pre-med classes.
1-2 outside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. French with a tap out to first. His first time around. Zatkowski 2 outs away from being eligible for a win. And he gets French waving at a drifting slider, 73 miles per hour. One of his slowest pitches of the night. And it's his 3rd K.
You could feel the breeze from all the way up here. Look at the break on that, and French just was swinging well over it.
So Zatkowski has retired the side in order twice already. He's trying to do so again here in the 5th. And the first one spoiled foul by Schaffner, 0-1. Jake Schaffner with a couple of ground balls today, 1 to third, 1 to second. It's 2 home runs early on in the season, the 12 driven in at the top of the lineup. And spits on a slider, it's 1-1.
One of the observations that you have to make with Zatkowski today, and we've talked about it at the opening, last weekend North Carolina faced Lemoyne, and they had an offensive explosion. But also, too, they did not see a pitcher throw over 90 miles an hour. In fact, sometimes the velocities will hover around 68, 70 miles an hour. Now you're coming to conference play and you see a guy like Zatkowski, wicked arm slot, plus movement on the fastball, really mixing his pitches nicely. You do have to make that adjustment. And now this is the reality now. This is the reality for North Carolina going forward, the quality of pitching.
Schaffner puts it on a line out into center field, but Gracia hardly has to move. It's another 1-2-3 inning for the Virginia starter. He's through 5 of 1-run ball and has an 8-run lead. Franklin Street making their way out to Boshemer Stadium for the start of conference play, but they're looking for something to cheer for. Their team down 8 runs. Virginia has rolled into town and made a statement here early on, trying to take down the number 8 team in the country. +8 in the run column, +8 in the hit column. And we'll see if Percival can continue to slow down Virginia. Allowed a run in the 5th. Starts this frame with Sam Harris, the cleanup man, and takes a little bit high. It's ball 1. A couple of righties, and DeCaro and Padgett weren't able to slow down Virginia, so you roll out the southpaw, and Percival will try and eat up a couple more innings here.
Well, I think that's going to be the primary goal. At the end of the day, you want to win the series. So you never wave the white flag, but your strategy changes. And as Coach Forbes has said many times, they have different scenarios for every different type of situation in the game. But, at the end of the weekend, you want to take 2 out of 3. So when does there come a point where you kind of realize in this game, all right, this might be the lost cause, but you really want to see a lot out of Percival here. If he can give them length, mission accomplished for the hand that has been dealt for North Carolina this evening.
And look, I've got a feeling we're in for some drama still to come this weekend, because this has been a very tight series over the last 5 years and beyond. Ever since Scott Forbes took over as the lead man at Carolina, this has been nearly a 500 series. Last year, in Chapel Hill, Series was decided by a 3-run margin. UVA grabbed the first 2 before UNC put up 12 on Sunday, 112-7. 3-2 count on Harris. And the pitch misses high.
And remember, Virginia did not qualify for the NCAA tournament last year. They went 32-18. Coaching change, and all of that. And 2024, they're in the College World Series. So there's a lot of pride here. And then North Carolina was there as well. So you're dealing with 2 ball clubs with the mentality of Omaha or bust, for lack of a better term.
National championship for the Virginia program back in 2015. As that one's fouled away by Didewick. Didewick with the sac fly that started the scoring today for Virginia. He's also walked and scored. That pitch runs wide to the backstop. Winslow has been chasing down a ton of wild pitches today. And that's just aided along the Virginia offense. That's, I think, number 5 or 6 in the box score now. Yeah,
it's been a really tough day for the North Carolina pitchers with the wild pitches. Yeah, haven't seen this in a while in terms of the volume. And as you said, Andrew, Winslow's getting a workout today.
The 1-1 is sent deep in the air out into right. Nunez will watch this one go. The second 2-run shot of the game for Virginia. Harrison Didewick demolishes that baseball. And it's now a 10-run Virginia lead. Tape measure shot on his first of the season.
That ball was crushed. There's no other way of putting it. You know, he hits this into the Carolina night, and it's just a perfect swing. Look at the load. Look at the extension. Just a magnificent home run by Didewick. And also, too, one of the offensive catalysts from that returning Virginia ball club, setting the tone again.
Scott Forbes out to the mound. He'll take the ball from Percival. And UNC will turn to their bullpen for a 3rd time. Tell you about the new right-hander when we come back on ACC Network Extra. Any doubt behind his first home run of the season. Second 2-run shot of the game for Virginia ends up deep over the right field wall. It's like Virginia has a little jewelry in the dugout. The home run chain has been passed around, and they have cracked open a 10-run lead in Chapel Hill. Handed the Tar Heels their largest deficit of the season. So UNC will turn to a new right-hander. It's the freshman Talon Holiday in his 4th appearance of the season. He makes his way north to Chapel Hill by way of Pembroke Pines, Florida. And at this stage of the game, Wayne, he's just in a stabilizer spot.
Yeah, and I also think, too, this is an opportunity for the young man to show the coaching staff what he has, and an opportunity for him to work on a few things. So, you know, any time that you're a freshman and given an opportunity to toe the rubber here in North Carolina, you know, you're auditioning for later innings in the season.
And a first pitch curve misses up and inside. It's 1-0. 4th appearance of the season for Holiday, previously pitched in the Indiana series to start the season, and the midweek battle against Richmond, and also against East Carolina, although he did not record an out against the Pirates. Gave up his first earned run in his collegiate career, but a long layoff. Hasn't pitched since February 21st. A couple of weeks since he saw live game action, as Murray looks at the pitch a little high, and he's ahead at 3-0. Murray with a 2-hit day, pair of singles. Staying patient, takes the 3-0, and now a 3-1 count.
Andrew, you brought up a really good point about some of the North Carolina pitchers, because they haven't seen a lot of time since late February. And, you know, it's hard knocking the rust off in conference play.
Outside for ball 4, and Murray will take his base. So Zach Jackson stands in, and he started the home run party today with a 2-run shot out into right field, his 3rd of the season. Hit that home run against Cameron Padgett. It was the first home run surrendered all season by Padgett. And stands in for a 4th time. Pitch inside on him, dusts him off the plate. Couple of strikeouts and the 2-run home run. So a couple of absolute results today for Zach Jackson. Up to 9 ribbies on the year as well after the 2-run homer. All 3 of those runs in the 4th inning came with 2 outs. Sits back and watches a strike.
He's going to factor very prominently in North Carolina's fielding independent pitching statistic these days with the strikeouts and the home run, to say the least. But I just think that's a great, resilient ball play there. After 2 strikeouts, you come back, your 3rd at bat, and you hit a home run because you made the adjustments.
Spoiled foul by Jackson, falls behind 1-2. He's a sophomore, and his first season with Virginia. Played at Duke last year under Coach Pollard. And tips this one foul off of his leg to keep the at-bat going. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year at Duke. Appeared in 16 games. Was used mostly as a defensive replacement. You know, cool story about Zach Jackson. Although he never actually recorded a stat in a game, he was a part of the Duke football team in 2023 and 2024.
You know, it's amazing today to be a 2-sport athlete.
Knocked down in foul territory by Paulson. And that's not easy. You talk about time management and getting your degree.
And, you know, we're talking about Duke and schools like Duke and Virginia, where it's extremely difficult that the academic loads that they're carrying. And, you know, the one thing we also see with a lot of these transfer players coming over from Duke, they're getting an opportunity to play here, where they probably had limited opportunities when they were at Duke. Now Coach Pollard is giving them ample opportunities, and it's paying off for them.
So Jackson fighting hard to stay alive. Battling in the 2-strike count. Nicholson playing shallow at 3rd. Murray off the bag at 1st. And he takes a breaking ball to the back foot. Now 2-2 on Jackson. Out of the state of Georgia. He's ranked as the number 9 outfielder in the state in his final prep year. Inside, and it's all full.
And that was the one thing that we noticed with Virginia's recruiting class. They're young, and if you look at their state rankings in terms of where they were, it's either number 1 or the top 5. So this is a ball club. If they keep everyone together, it's going to be very lethal.
This is deep in the air on a line to right. Nunez playing towards the track. Only needs a couple of steps to make the play. And finally a first out here in the 6th. For Tar Heel pitching, that'll bring Noah Juris to the dish. Jackson back to the dugout, 1 for 4. Now Juris, who's still hunting his first hit of the day, 11 in total for the Virginia lineup. Juris reached on a fielding error by Nicholson at 3rd, back in the 3rd inning. And is 0 for 3 altogether. Squares to bunt and cues it foul. Juris in his final college season was playing collegiately here in North Carolina last year. Part of the Davidson program. And he came to Virginia grad student year. He homered in his first game with the Cavaliers. Pitch misses outside.
Now, Coach Pollard brought up a really good point the other day when he said that he hasn't been able to use Kyle Johnson yet this season because he's supposed to be technically his Friday night starter.
Right.
And then you throw in Jake Weatherspoon, who's supposed to be his starting catcher. So you got Noah Juris here, and then you throw into the mix that, you know, him and Thomas O'Connell have done a very good job catching and holding down the fort until Weatherspoon gets back. And that's probably about a week from now. And that's another thing that you have to look at from Virginia is that they've been dealing with injuries to 2 major players on their roster.
Shot foul the opposite way and into the netting. Juris started his college career at Triton College. Played there for 2 seasons before the move to Davidson, and finishing up his college career at Virginia, his 3rd team he's played for.
And Davidson's the alma mater of his head coach.
That's right. A fly the opposite way, routine for Nunez. He circles underneath and has it for the 2nd out. So Nunez staying busy in right field. 2 putaways in this 6th. And now the 9-hitter Antonio Parada.
So if you're Coach Forbes right now, you're looking at Holiday. It's about throwing strikes and trying to find some type of continuity because he's auditioning for innings. And yeah, I never like the term throwaway or anything like that. He's auditioning for innings later in the season, and that's a very important thing. So every opportunity that you get, regardless of what the score is, it's about, am I going to be factored into the equation come May and June? And that's what Holiday is looking at right now.
Yeah, there's always an evaluation process that's happening in that dugout. Always some part of the game to try and learn from or grow from if you're a freshman in this spot. Can't imagine that, Holiday maybe went into today's game thinking he'd be pitching in the ACC conference opener, but here you are. And for the 2nd time this season, the freshman trying to complete 1 full inning. But he plunks Parada. That late breaking slider clipped him on the back leg. Tell by Holiday's reaction that thought he might have leaned into it a little bit.
Got it right, looks like right on the top of the back knee there.
That pitch looked good 80% of the way until it really got to the plate.
Yeah, then it, did a little bit of a curve.
Well, 2 on with 2 outs for Eric Becker. He's reached in every plate appearance today and bounces the first one foul. Was hit by a pitch to start this ball game, top 1, then singled in the 2nd. Drove home 2 in the 3rd with a bloop flare into shallow center field. Some of that soft contact today falling for the Virginia lineup. And then he squared one up, doubled into left center field in the 5th.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the box score, it's a model of consistency. And, we talked about A.J. Gracia being that Mr. Consistent. But if there's a 1A to that, it's Eric Becker for Virginia.
And an 0-2 flip foul and off to the left. And Becker inside of that top 25 draft list. MLB.com continuously updating the rankings throughout the year with the high school guys, the college guys, and a lot of ACC names in that top 20 list. 0-2 draws a check swing. They appeal, and yes, he did. The freshman Holiday closes down a scoreless 6th inning with a punch out and keeps it at an 11-1 game as we go home 6th. And it has been all Cavaliers through 5.5 innings. 11-1 is the score. Virginia has scored at least 1 run in 5 of 6. And their lefty Zadkowski is continuing to roll. He's given up just 2 hits and takes on Gallagher to start the home 6th inning. He's already eligible for the winning decision and what would be his 2nd of the year if Virginia can hang on the rest of the way. And now he's trying for his 2nd straight quality start. Gave up just 2 earned over 6 innings against VCU last time out. Misses low to Gallagher, and it's 1-1.
He's smart. That's the only way I can really describe how he's been pitching today. Very smart, efficient, He's around the plate. I wouldn't say that the fastball is overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination, but he's placing it in positions that North Carolina can't get solid contact on it. And he's just been very impressive today.
Gallagher spoils it off. And yeah, the fastball for him, he's hardly had to use it today to get swing and miss because, I mean, let's be honest, the 73, 74 mile per hour breaking balls and changeups, they've had the Tar Heels out in front and mistimed all day. As that shot up the middle and skips into center field. Gallagher with the sharpest hit of the day for UNC, and it's a leadoff knock to start the 6th.
Well, it goes back to, you hate to say it, what they encountered over the past week in terms of the pitching. And then you don't want to say that you played down to your opponent because you never want to do that. But there's a big jump in terms of what they faced in terms of Lemoyne, and then during the midweek, and now what you're facing against Virginia and what you will throughout the rest of the weekend.
Here's Paulson going the other way and slicing one foul. If you're the Tar Heels here, regardless of score, you're down 10. You'd like to just see something find a gap somewhere. Wake that dugout up a little bit, and Paulson might be your guy. On an 0-1 pitch, he takes down the middle at 88, and it's 0-2.
This is about a shot of adrenaline, some confidence, and look, momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. We all know that, but you want something to walk away from the ballpark tonight saying we got something to build upon for tomorrow.
Off the corner, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, we're scheduled for a doubleheader tomorrow. Some of the weather on Sunday. Going to have us play 2 tomorrow. And UNC projected for Ryan Lynch in game 1, Folger Boaz in game 2.
And yet again, North Carolina is going to start 2 pitchers that are downright impressive and, are going to be major keys for them going forward.
Paulson in the air the opposite way once again. Long run over for Didowick, and he'll watch it find the stands.
A ball game like tonight only feeds into the naysayers, because one of the arguments about North Carolina this season was the pitching's elite and there's tremendous depth, but will they be able to hit enough in order to complement the pitching? And obviously the first couple of weeks of the season, the answer is a definitive yes. But now when you're facing conference play, what's that going to look like? So, we still need to see the real North Carolina in terms of an offensive perspective and how it's going to complement their pitching in conference play.
Paulson working a long at bat, ready for a 2-2. And fights another one foul. These are the types of bats that Scott Forbes always praises, though, battling with 2 strikes. He says, I don't care if you record an out, even if you strike out, if you saw 13 pitches, 14 pitches in an at bat. So that's going down as a net positive for us.
I've had the honor and privilege of speaking with Coach Forbes for about 5 years now, in both in the field, out of the field, you name it. And when he spoke this week about the quality at bats in terms of the statistic that they keep internally and the depth and breadth, it was unbelievable. I could listen to him speak about that for hours because it's so thoughtful and how they look at hitting in an entirely different way. And you really wish that our fans who were listening to the broadcast were like they were flies on the wall of that conversation, because it was just so enlightening that throughout a lot of these statistics, this is what we're looking at. And it was just, I don't know, I was thoroughly impressed with Coach Forbes on that.
And Paulson continues to battle, drawing the praise of this Tar Heel crowd pitch by pitch. And he's forcing Didowick to get up to 90 pitches if he wants to get out of this 6th inning. Still with 3 outs to get. Keep an eye on that Virginia bullpen, which does have a couple of guys starting to stir. And he gets plunked. So a bruise for his troubles at the end of the battle. Longest at-bat of the day for UNC, ends with an HBP. And puts 2 men aboard with nobody out. And Macon Winslow hit pause here for a second as Virginia sends their pitching coach Brady Kirkpatrick out to the hill. Coach Pollard bringing his whole Duke staff over with him to Virginia. And the first time that Zatkowski has had to slow his rhythm today and have a chat with the dugout.
And this is just a quick reminder. Hey, look, you're up 10 runs. You've done well so far. You know, stay within yourself. Don't deviate from what you've been doing all day that has, you know, garnered some success for you.
First time tonight that UNC has put the first 2 batters of an inning on base. So here's Macon Winslow. And he chases the first pitch, a changeup out across the plate, 0-1.
If you're at North Carolina, you kind of want to tell the hitters to sit back a little bit. They're jumping. I think they're just anxious right now. Just sit back a little bit and you'll be able to drive it.
Winslow holds the swing, and on a late appeal, Tim Rosso says he didn't go. Zatkowski has not walked a batter tonight, but he's hit 2. Paulson, and got a piece of Winslow in the 4th. Oh, pardon me, 1 walk actually to Paulson in the 1st inning. And here's a bouncing ball that'll skip through Tiroli into shallow center. They wave Gallagher around 3rd, and he'll score without a throw. Macon Winslow connects for an RBI single against his former Duke teammate and turns it to an 11-2 ball game.
And that's all you need to see right now if you're North Carolina, is just all these little things to make it work. And that was a nice piece of hitting by Winslow, going the opposite field, but most importantly, finding that opening with the shift there.
Fourth Carolina hit of the night. They've all gone for singles in this one. Macon Winslow, who's the top power supplier really in the first week and a half of the season during that Indiana series, drives in his 11th of the campaign. And here's the lefty Owen Hull. Takes up and in for ball 1. Bullpen activity for Virginia. They have a right-hander warming. Zatkowski still with the comfortable 9-run lead, but now with a little pressure on him in the 6th. Hull with a skipper into center field. Paulson gets the windmill. He'll stretch it home. Back-to-back base hits have brought home 2 for the Tar Heels in this 6th.
Exactly what you want to see right now. Small ball, trying to manufacture some runs. You know, like we've seen all game. They're not hitting the ball with high exit velocity. They're just finding the right spots. Both ball clubs. But in this case, this is a real positive building block for North Carolina, not only in this ball game, but going forward.
Well, Zatkowski was so efficient early on. This is just the 3rd time through the Tar Heel lineup. But they're making their adjustments, and now Colin Hynek watches up and away for ball 1.
And it's almost as if Zatkowski's kind of fallen into analytical thought. You don't let a starting pitcher face a lineup the 3rd time around.
Here's a chopper hit foul. Yeah, if this wasn't a lopsided game, I think Chris Pollard would have already made that move to the bullpen, but they have the luxury of the big cushion. So they're allowing Zatkowski to work through the lineup a 3rd time. And it's Lucas Hartman, the right-hander, who's been throwing for a little while now. He's just about ready to go. And fastball misses wide, 2-1.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you're seeing Zatkowski almost hit 100 pitches. I was of the impression that maybe you get him between 80 and 90 and kind of wrap it around that. But yeah, it's a lot of throwing he's doing.
Heineck dumps it straight back off his 18th RBI of the season. Back in the fourth, he's just one behind Erik Paulson now for the team lead. Singled home Macon Winslow for UNC's first run of the night. They've cut it to 8. Still with nobody out in the 6th. And he got under this one. A fly into left center field. Didowick and Gracia come together. It's the center fielder making the call. So one gone in the 6th. And now the question, will they let Zatkowski get to 100 pitches?
Yeah, he's probably anywhere between 10 to 20 over what he was expected to throw today, but he was in cruise control for at least 4 innings.
Sending the pitching coach back out there again. This is not Chris Pollard, but once again Brady Kirkpatrick. But it does look like that right-hander is emerging from the bullpen, and it'll be Kirkpatrick to make the change. So Virginia will turn to Lucas Hartman out of the bullpen. Graduate out of Bradenton, Florida. We'll have more on him in just a moment. It's all smiles for Zatkowski and his guys on the infield who tell him a job well done. And while it's not a quality start, trying to get his 2nd straight after the big night against VCU, it's still 5 1/3, a dazzling baseball as it stands right now. 3 earned, still a couple to his responsibility. His Cavaliers waiting for him down the steps of the dugout. Still a big Virginia lead, but North Carolina chipping away. 11-3 our score. The Cavaliers have turned to their bullpen for the first time tonight after 5 1/3 solid baseball out of Zatkowski, their lefty. They'll go to the right-hander, and the grad transfer Lucas Hartman makes his way to the Cavalier program by way of Western Kentucky. And he'll inherit runners at 1st and 2nd. 1 out, force at all bases. And the right-hander Cooper Nicholson at the plate. And snaps off a slider to start the AB to Nicholson.
It's a good way to introduce yourself into a ball game. 87-mile-per-hour slider that gets Nicholson jumping.
Nicholson 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fielder's choice. And he grounds this one out to 3rd, could be 2. Murray to the bag for 1, across the diamond, inning over. Well, how about that? Hartman, the fireman, 2 pitches, inning over. Carolina adds 2, cuts it to 8. We go to the 7th, 11-3 Cavaliers. Both sides trading a pair of runs in the 6th. Still Virginia leading by 8, 11-3 our score. Back on the hill is Holiday, the freshman who pitched a scoreless 6th behind Percival, took over mid-inning and was able to strand a couple of runners. He'll see the 2, 3, and 4 of A.J. Gracia, Joe Tiroli, and Sam Harris to start out this inning. And Gracia takes the first one downstairs. It's ball 1. Andrew Chapman alongside Wayne McDonald. So glad to have you here in Chapel Hill with us as conference play officially starts tonight. Doubleheader scheduled for tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock due to some of the impending weather on Sunday. Gracia takes outside 2-0. Beautiful weather today, Wayne. It's ideal to be at a ballpark this weekend if you were planning on coming out to Boshemer. Bouncing ball hit out towards first base. Paulson fields behind the bag and takes it there himself. I know there's a big one at Cameron Indoor tomorrow for UNC basketball, but I hear tickets are pretty hard to come by for that game, so why not buy a baseball ticket instead? Come out here.
Hey, you'll have an entertaining experience, and then you can head to Franklin Street and watch the game in one of the fine establishments. Because tickets are going to be scarce.
Yeah, to say the least. So a quick first out in the 7th for Holiday, now officially the longest appearance of his young college career, inning in a 3rd. And how about taking down the 2 top draft prospects as a line drives hit the opposite way. That'll short Nunez and get through him all the way to the base of the wall. Tiroli stretches to second with what'll likely be scored a single plus an E9. They call that an error. It'll be the 3rd of the game for this Tar Heel team that prides themselves on their defense. Came up too close to it.
Yeah, it just ate him up. And that's a young play. It's a young ball player still learning the position and also the trajectory of the ball.
Looks like they flashed a hit on the board, so I'm going to call that a clean double for Tiroli. And now Sam Harris. Harris has been on the bases all day, reached in all 4 trips. And cues that one foul to get it to 1-1. Yeah, so they did just flash that 3rd error on the board there, Wayne. So they do have the E9 come in. And fouled off the foot of Harris to keep it at 1-2.
Yeah, you kind of figured that was going to be the case. Clean single, but if Nunez kept it in front of him, runners at first base.
3 infielders on the right side against Harris. Holiday pitches and misses low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Defensive change as well for the Tar Heels. And out in right field, Tyler Howe has taken over for Nunez. Down in the dirt, blocked by Winslow. And Howe will take over the 8th spot in the lineup as well. He's due to lead off come the bottom of the 7th inning. Curveball gets him looking. Holiday with a beautiful bender on the outside corner. Haven't been able to retire the Cavalier cleanup hitter all day.
It was just a great pitch, great location on that knee. Nice pitch selection.
So an inning and 2/3 scoreless now for Holiday, and he takes on Harrison Didowick. Misses low with the first one. That'll give you some confidence, though, taking care of Becker. Struck him out to end the 6th inning. Got Gracia to ground out to first. Dealt with the 2 top draft prospects at the top of that Virginia order. Now the veteran in Didowick. And that one low to him. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah,
Off a 2-run home run his last time out.
Yeah, this is just about earning innings right now and keeping everything at bay. And he's done a good job. Holiday's actually done a good job of that.
All-time in ACC conference play since Scott Forbes took over the Tar Heel program. A 51-25 record here at home at the Bosch. Virginia closing in on one of those rare road victories inside of this venue. Start the series with a W. Draw even in the win column with UNC as well. Virginia hunting their 12th victory of the season to go to 12-2. The efficiency with 2 outs so far today. As a swing and miss gets it to 3-1.
There's a reason why there's a lot of regionals being hosted here in and super regionals being hosted here in Chapel Hill, and you know, it's a great home field advantage. It's a great ballpark that plays well for North Carolina.
Holiday loses Didowick. Gives up ball 4 with 2 outs. And the inning stretches for Noah Murray. 2 on, first and second in this 11-3 game. Second walk issued by Holiday. He also plunked Antonio Parada. That has been able to strand base runners thus far. Noah Murray into the right side. He's reached 3 times, 2 singles and a walk. And Macon Winslow knocks down the first pitch.
Yeah, the pitching staff is going to have to make it up to Winslow today.
Oh yeah.
He's earning everything. He's earning a free meal from them.
Yep, cold tub coming for Carolina catcher at the end of this one. And that one misses down and outside. You know, quarterbacks by their offensive lineman presence or gifts at the end of the year, right, for doing the blocking. There's got to be at least a lunch in store for Winslow, a few lunches at the end of the season, right?
Well, with NIL money, there should be.
This one's deep in the air, out in the left. Long run for French and bangs off at the base of the wall. Tiroli around third. He'll score. Cut off throw to the plate, not in time. Didowick dives in, and Murray will end up at third with a 2-run double. Advanced to third on the throw home. Virginia counters the Carolina runs once again and turns it to a 13-3 ball game.
Yeah, this just ball explodes. He just, you know, Murray got it really up into the jet stream. At first crack, you thought it was clearing the wall, and then it just falls slightly short of that. And then look at the play at the plate. Just great slide there by Didowick, and just brings in the 13th run.
So scoreless night comes to an end for Holiday, and his day in full will come to a close as Scott Forbes heads to the hill, takes the baseball, and will turn to his bullpen for a 4th time. Back in a moment from Chapel Hill, 13-3 our score. Inheriting a man at third and 2 outs in the 7th inning. It's the right-hander Jake Kakovic. He is from nearby Holly Springs, North Carolina. Holly Springs high school graduate. Good size, 6'7", and makes his 2nd appearance here in front of the Tar Heel faithful off a scoreless inning so far in his college career. You'll see Zach Jackson moments after a 2-run double from Noah Murray cleared the bases, turned it to a 10-run game.
And another opportunity for a freshman to give Scott Forbes another look at them. And there's no such thing as a throwaway inning, in a ball game like this.
4th reliever utilized today by Scott Forbes, 5th pitcher in total after the 3-inning start by Jason DeCaro, and still on the hook for the loss. There's a cut fastball around the outside corner to Zach Jackson, who homered out into right center field back in the 4th inning. One of two-run home runs today out of the Cavalier lineup. And gets him to chase on the changeup, strike 3. So quick work, Kakovic off the hill. He strands a man at third, and we stretch in Chapel Hill, 13-3 our score. The up-to-date scores in the Friday night series openers. Notre Dame is up the road in Durham taking on Duke, and they lead 6-0 in the top of the 6th inning. Georgia Tech hosting Virginia Tech. Tech has a ton of draft prospects this year. They lead 3-0 in the bottom of the 1st inning. Stanford's out east as well against Wake Forest. They're all tied up, and the U hosting Boston College. That's coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern. 13-3 our score here at the Bosch. And the inning starts with a down and in breaking ball for ball 1 to Tyler Howe, who came on as a defensive replacement for Nunez last inning, and gets his first plate appearance of the night here in the home seventh. And cues it foul between his feet. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
You know, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the ball game, it seems right now left field and right field for North Carolina are sort of kind of up for grabs in terms of the everyday ball players manning down those positions. And Tyler Howe is one of those ball players in the mix.
Here's a sharp grounder out to second base. Tiroli with it, and he tosses short to first to retire Howe. Yeah, Howe's made a nice mark as a freshman. Started his college career, had a 6-game hit streak at one point this year as well. On the offensive end, he made a great throw. You might remember the Longwood game from right field to cut down a runner at third trying to tag. It's his defensive highlight of the season thus far.
And it seems like that's been the story of North Carolina since the outfield of Anthony D'Onofrio, Vance Honeycutt, Casey Cook, where you penciled them in every day. One of the 3 positions seems to always be up for grabs, and this year it feels like it's 2. You got Owen Hull in center field, really locked down. But those 2 other positions, there's probably about 4 or 5 ball players that are fighting for playing time in those 2 positions, and they're all quality ball players.
Yep, and Carter French, one of those guys, out in left field tonight. He's late on 91 from Hartman. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. We have confirmed run rule in effect for this one. So UNC needs a run here in the bottom of the 7th to keep this game alive. Moving on to an 8th inning. Good take by French to get ahead 2-1. So it starts with a base runner here, right? In any way you can get it.
At this juncture, yes. And North Carolina is just looking to build on something positive.
Down and in, 3-1. Carolina on the brink of just their 2nd loss of the season. It would be their first since February 21st when they lost at a neutral site in Durham against East Carolina. And fouled straight back by French, now full.
And that's always a fun series if you're a baseball fan in the state of North Carolina watching UNC and ECU the 2nd week of the college baseball season, which a lot of ball clubs are not having that type of series in early February.
3-2 on the ground. It's the third baseman Murray, shifted up the middle, making the play at first just in time. So Carolina is down to their final out with the run rule in effect, and it'll come down to Jake Schaffner to extend the game. I think college baseball could only benefit from more top matchups like that, though, in the early stages of the season. We just saw NC State take on Coastal Carolina in a top 20 battle. Give us more of it. Why not?
I'm a fan. I'm an absolute fan, and I always give a lot of credit to North Carolina in terms of their strength of schedule very early in the season. Look, they opened up against Indiana this year. Last year was Texas Tech.
This one in the air to center field on the first pitch. Gracia has it measured, and this ball game is over. Virginia, 10-run rules UNC, and pulls off a stunner to start this series, giving the Tar Heels their largest loss of the season here at the Bosch. 13-3 the final score. It was Zatkowski cruising along from the start. He got all the run support he needed, and Virginia makes a statement against Scott Forbes and his Heels.
North Carolina needs to have amnesia. Forget about this bowl game. Pick it up. You got 2 tomorrow. You can still take the series, but downright impressive evening from Zatkowski and the Cavalier Ball Club.
12 total hits out of the Virginia offense as they pick up their 12th win of the season to go to 12-2. Meanwhile, Carolina drops their 2nd game of the year. The new record 12-2-1. We have a doubleheader in store for you tomorrow starting at 1 o'clock. So find us again, once again, on ACC Network Extra. Until then, on behalf of Wayne McDonald, Our entire production crew, I'm Andrew Chapman, signing off from Chapel Hill. Good night. Virginia wins it by 10.